Hi. So the first question is for you, and it comes from Anastasia from the Ministry of Development and Investment in Greece. Anastasia has asked the Policy Learning Platform to give her some inspiring ideas coming from other countries in Europe where there are successful examples of implementation of green public procurement. There are many successful practices on this across Europe where public authorities put in place specific forms of public procurement with a careful and environmentally conscious public purchase. So Astrid, with the knowledge that we have of Interreg Europe projects, can we highlight some of these successful practices to Anastasia?
Yeah, thank you, Elena. Yes, we can. Green public procurement is indeed a powerful tool for public authorities such as regions and municipalities. Actually, they have a really important purchasing power in many sectors, and they can lead the way as frontrunners for green, sustainable policies and products. So the city of Hamburg, for example, wanted to make a real impact on the reduction of plastics waste. And they developed green public procurement guidelines for 20 different product groups. These guidelines are now available to all public procurement offices of the city so that they can buy plastic-free cleaning agents, garbage bags, tableware, and so on and so forth. And Hamburg is not alone. The Irish government also decided that public bodies must lead the way in reducing single-use plastics. So they kicked off the island's Green Government Initiative. For me, this is a great success for Ireland, since all public bodies, including state agencies and schools, have stopped to supply directly or indirectly single-use plastic beverage containers, cutlery, or straws. Generally speaking, plastic pollution and littering are urgent issues for many public authorities. And in my view, they might also be interested in taking a look at the summary report of the Interregional Plast Eco Workshop on how to facilitate the market placement of alternatives for single-use plastics. However, plastic pollution is not the only issue. Public authorities can also make a difference when it comes to food waste and local food supply chains. I like the example of the toolkit for sustainable food procurement that has been identified by the GPP Stream project. It offers concrete tools and solutions for green public procurement and is designed to ease local distribution channels. Any public purchaser in France can adapt the template according to its own needs.
Okay, thank you very much, Astrid, for these interesting examples. And what about the project GPP for Growth? I think in this project also offers some interesting practices on green public procurement.
Yeah, that's right, Elena. One of the many interesting solutions coming from this project has been put forward by Transport Malta, who wanted to demonstrate the feasibility of using electric mobility in port and port areas. To this end, Transport Malta has procured 13 full electric vehicles and the charging points for this new electric fleet. They also installed an impressive photovoltaic plant covering 1,200 square meters on top of the authority's main building at Valletta Grand Harbor. So now electricity is generated on site for free, and the PV installation raises awareness for the energy efficient port.
Okay, thank you, Astrid, also for this insight. Of course, public policies, single public policy should not be implemented in isolation from others. And in light of this, the project LCA for Regions is aspiring to contribute to a more effective implementation of environmental policy instruments through the application of life cycle methodologies. Can you explain more about that?
Yes, indeed, Elena. I can illustrate such a holistic life cycle approach with a good practice coming from Navarra in Spain. So here, the city of Pamplona launched a tender for the public service for street cleaning, litter bins, and maintenance of fountains. And as part of the technical award criteria, Pamplona included several environmental measures, such as the provision of a water use plan, water savings measures, energy efficiency measures, carbon footprint calculations, and life cycle assessment. And I think that's a really nice holistic approach.
Of course. Thank you, Astrid, for these interesting insights. We have seen already many successful examples here with you, and many more are available across Interreg Europe projects. They are just simply waiting for you to be discovered. So I warmly encourage you to look at our good practice database, which is available on the Interreg Europe website. And now let's turn to a completely different subject. A subject that has been high on the agenda of the European Union since the European Year of Cultural Heritage back in 2018, and then throughout across the pandemic crisis. This is about the digitalization of heritage. And this question is for Magda this time. We have a question from the University of Florence in Italy, where they asked Interreg Europe if we can share with them some interesting, let's say, practices coming from other institutions in Europe that have dealt with the digitalization of heritage. Can we say something to them, Magda?
Yes, indeed. Thank you for the question. There are many projects and inspirational examples of heritage digitalization. One of them is the Green Pilgrimage Project, where the Swedish Östergötland region revitalized a medieval pilgrim trail from Ödesgård to Vadstena that has been abandoned in the 16th century. To make it more accessible today, the pilgrim trail was digitalized. Now pilgrims can rely on digital maps and online info points, providing both useful information on logistics, including things like shelters, restaurants, water refill points, waste bins or toilets, and also on the interesting culture and natural heritage along the way. The platform also enables the pilgrim to share prayers, thoughts, and reflections on the experience with the community of other pilgrims. Another example is from the Ecocycle project. It is an online marketplace in France that makes locally sourced picnics available for cycling tourists. The platform is connecting tourists to local artisan food makers based in the Pays de la Loire, in order to support local SMEs and local food traditions in a sustainable way. They are very successful with the project. In 2018, the initiative won the Palme de Tourisme Durable Award for its innovation and scalability potential. And by the end of 2019, it had managed to increase the number of ordered picnics by 60% compared to the first year of activity, which is quite impressive.
Oh, sure, of course. Thank you very much, Magda, for this information. The Interreg Europe community has also expressed some interest in the digitization of museums in particular. Did the projects also work on these aspects?
Yes, definitely. And we see a lot of focus in that sector as well. I can give you an example of the Riga Motor Museum in Latvia from the Krista project, which is using a number of digital technologies to allow visitors to explore the collections in depth. They are creating a multimedia experience using a vast variety of tools, including audio guides, augmented reality, video mapping, workstations, visual projections, audio installations, hands-on exhibits, and games. The initiative had very good results. The museum has seen increased number of visitors and gained international recognition. And for those interested, you can also watch the recordings of e-workshop on a cultural heritage in mountain regions, where Veronica Licino, curator at the Centro Documentazione Museo Montagna, presented the IALP experience on digitalization of cultural heritage in mountains. And one more resource I would like to share are the key learnings of the online event called Digital Technologies and Museums, Post-Pandemic Experiences. That's featuring many more interesting good practices.
Okay, thank you, Magda. Yes, indeed, a very rich set of resources here as well. Now, I think we have a few more minutes left for a last question, maybe to Astrid this time. We turn again to one of the paramount elements of the EU Green Deal in general, elements that should ensure the well-being of our planet, which is biodiversity protection and habitat conservation. We have a question from Gabriela from Romania that asked if we can share with her examples of concrete policy implementation that allowed biodiversity conservation and protection, really at local level. Astrid, can we share something with Gabriela?
Yes, of course. We also have many examples here. And as you know, the restoration and preservation of nature and biodiversity are very high on the political agenda, as we are now witnessing a dramatic decline in natural habitats such as wetlands, and we are continuing to lose species around the world at a rapid pace. And this impact can be witnessed with climate change and extreme weather events, the pandemic that we're facing now, or the loss of ecosystem services such as pollination. So for the restoration of nature, biodiversity and ecosystems, I'd like to give you an example from the Perfect project, which has highlighted two good practices from the UK in this case. So the first good practice are the Beam Parklands. This is a 53-hectare park in East London on the floodplain of the Beam River. And here, between 2009 and 11, the Land Trust took over this abandoned site and recreated its primary flood protection role. And the park can now store up to 45,000 cubic meters of water, and thus it can again protect neighboring homes and businesses in case of flooding. And in addition, it provides a high-quality multifunctional public space for recreation and contributes to the conservation of habitats and wildlife. The other example are the Rainham Marshes, the largest area of wetland in the Thames estuary. It's also close to the center of London. And here, after long years of neglect, this former firing range was reopened to the public in 2006. It now features a visitor center and a cafe in a sustainable building, which is very popular with people. And we can watch today that the biodiversity levels in the marshes have increased significantly, and over 40,000 many local visitors are benefiting from this bird's paradise every year. So from my side, I would like to finish with an example from Italy that has been identified by the WAVE project. It's the salt marshes in Gervia. So the Gervia municipality is on the Adriatic coast, and it's renowned for long beaches and inland salt pans. And here, the local authorities adopted a vision to valorize this cultural heritage of salt harvesting and to become at the same time more climate resilient thanks to better flood management and actions against coastal erosion. They used various funding sources to enable the revitalization of the water-linked heritage around salt production, such as the ancient salt storage house and the harbor of Gervia. So this is another really successful example of combining natural and cultural heritage.